What's going on, everybody? Filming this on a GoPro today, so I just want to check it out. I use my GoPro for more action type stuff, but I've seen some people say that filming on the GoPro is better, so I'm going to see how the sound picks up and everything. So it might be different, it might be worse, it might be way better. I have no idea, but we're going to go with it. And so the video that I'm filming here is going to be what we get. So I'm not going to go back and edit it or revise it or do it again on another device. So this is what we got. But this week, some craziness happened in the stock market. Everybody knows probably by now. So I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a rundown of what went down, what my reaction was, what the world's reaction was, and what we can do going forward. So if you didn't know, and first of all, I just want to address what Robinhood did when they shut everything down and stopped people from being able to trade. That was totally wrong, and it was pretty much criminal. So hopefully they pay for that, because a lot of people that wanted to be in couldn't get in, or were forced to get out and sell at a loss. And so it was totally terrible what they did there. I can still think that, and also know that the result of everything that went down was probably a net positive. And you can disagree with that if you want, but I think, like, if you weighed the amount of people that got screwed over because of them doing it versus the amount of people that would have gotten their ass handed to them if they bought that morning after all the hype happened, you probably would have resulted in many more people losing their money, because it was inevitable that there was going to be a sell-off going. However, I think what that did was caused a next-day surge because everybody doubled down on it. So anyways, we're talking about the Gamestop stock, we're talking about the AMC stock, we're talking about Nokia, and then later on, Dogecoin or Dogcoin, or however you want to say that, also as well. So let me explain to you that these are all hype plays, right? All of these companies are terrible, and when it comes to Dogecoin, they're really not a viable player, or at least they weren't until they grabbed some of this market share. But basically, that was an internet meme that people joked about, and whenever I owned it back last May, it was 0.003 cents. And so now if you look, it's trading at around 4 cents or 5 cents. It was up as high as 8 cents. So, and then with GameStop, it's trading in the mid 300s. This is a stock that was $10 or $15 before that. So some people got really, really rich off of this whole ordeal. And AMC was another one that is doomed, but it looks like it's going to kind of do some of the same stuff there. And so what happened was they were trying to beat the hedge fund people, the people that were going to short this GameStop stock. And what that is, of course, if you haven't seen it already, I mean, there's 1,000 explanations of it out there with bananas and monkeys and borrowing bananas and all of that. But the bottom line is they borrow the stock. They have to return the stock eventually, right? But what they do is they immediately sell that stock, even though they don't own it. And you can't do that with anything else, as Elon Musk pointed out. You can't like sell a house you don't own. You can't sell a car you don't own. But you can do that on the stock market. And so they sold the stock, and then when they're shorting it, they're basically selling it immediately, because they know, or they think they know, that it's going to go down. And then before they have to return it, they buy it back at a lower cost, and they pocket the difference, right? Well, some people on Reddit kind of got sniffed the wind of this and realized that this was going to happen, so they tried to get everyone together to buy the stock and drive the cost of the stock up and hold the stock, hold the line, and they were successful. And so what happens is, when these guys that borrow the stock that have to return it on Monday or whatever, they have to go back and buy it at a huge premium, and that only drives the price of the stock up even more. And so it just keeps going and going and going, and the people that invested early, they make a lot of money. Now, what happens if you invested when it was $300 or so? You probably didn't make that much, or if you invested at the high point, you probably lost. So I think there's some warning there to be said about you should not invest in this stock, at least I think right now. I think it's over. I think you missed the boat, but it's a really, really cool story that you can tell your kids about how one day the little guys kind of teamed up together and took down the big guys. I think long term, the big guys are going to figure out a way to win this, but for now, the little guys won, and I love it. And what Robinhood did was shut down the little guys then, so that they couldn't trade the stock or sell the stock or buy the stock or do anything with the stock. They could only sell it. They could sell out of their position. However, because more people weren't able to buy the stock and keep driving the price up, the price started to kind of move down, and it never stabilized. And so these people were forced to sell if they wanted to sell they were forced to sell at a loss, most likely. And so a lot of the people that got in got banged up, but I think they would have gotten banged up anyways if they bought at the $300 to $400 range. So, you know, nothing really that I'm surprised by there, but I think a lot of people are mad that they weren't given the opportunity to do that. And we're a free market, so people should have the opportunity to lose money or gamble money or do whatever they want. And they were stripped of that opportunity the other day. And so what these stocks are is these companies are terrible, right? But what people, at least the revolutionized the stock market, everything has changed now. Because what people have realized is if they can get enough people hyping up a certain stock, it will cause everyone to buy that stock and it'll drive the price up. And so when you see people hyping these stocks up, and you're going to see people over the next week or two doing it with a lot of different things, you're going to see that you could pretty much know that you don't have to do it because everyone's trying it, right? Unless you have a large enough group together to do it, like that Reddit group did, Wall Street Bets, then you're not going to move the needle, right? You're not going to move the needle, and you're not going to really affect anything, and so it's going to be completely fruitless, and you know it won't work. But if you can get enough people together to do it on the same page, you don't even have to take down a hedge fund. You could do that to any stock, any company. You could say, hey, we're all going to go in on this. And that's exactly what's going on with Dogecoin, right? This went up a ton in the last week, and it wasn't even a penny as of a week ago or so, or maybe a month ago or so. You know, recently it was less than a penny, to the point where when I owned it less than a year ago, it was 0.003 cents. And so people, they hype this internet meme up. It's the second rodeo that I've had with this where we see it kind of move. It moves the needle because everybody just kind of keeps sharing the memes. You see people on Barstool sharing the meme that they're not really in on it maybe, but they're doing it. A lot of your friends, people that you don't even think trade on the stock market, they get into it because they hear it. And what happens is when these amateur retail buyers get in, that's exactly what they're looking to have happen, because then it'll spike up to 8 cents or so, and then everyone that was in on it, that got in early, sells off, and honestly, the guy that got in late, he ends up losing, right? Because he thinks that he bought a stock that's going to keep going up, and it never goes up, and then it ends up going back down. And so it's not that you should avoid these stocks, it's that the volatility of this, or this is a cryptocurrency in this case, the volatility of this is enormous, right? These could go any direction at any point. It's like gambling on, I don't even know what you could consider it gambling on. It's like gambling on the most unpredictable thing that you could possibly gamble on in the entire world and expecting it to come out your way. And so these are a 100% gamble. You can think that you got in early and try to drive the hype and be in on it, but that's your best play. And so I'm making this video to kind of warn people that if they were looking for answers on what they should invest in or what's next, or if they missed the boat on this, I think yes, you missed the boat on this. And I think that when you see people hyping these different stocks up, check where it is in the journey. If it's early, maybe you take a play on it. But just don't get your expectations up, right? Because anything could happen. But if you happen to invest in the one that everyone decides to get on board with, and you're able to drive that price up, you're going to be sitting pretty, right? I saw a guy on TikTok that just randomly, and this is what I used to do. I used to just randomly throw the rest of my spare change, whatever I couldn't invest in a whole stock, I would just throw it in Dogecoin. And this guy did that to the tune of $10,000, and he ended up making $100,000 in one day off of it. And I hope he cashed out, because things have kind of returned to not normal, but going forward, Dogecoin might be a viable player. And so this weekend, I would keep an eye on it. It might be something you want to buy, because all these new retail buyers that got into the stock market this weekend, they are going to now be looking for something to trade. And the only thing trading over the weekend is a cryptocurrency. And so they might have thought, man, I missed the boat on this. I'm seeing all this Dogecoin talk. And I hope that's what happens, because I kept a little bit of skin in the game for Dogecoin. And I'm really hoping that it moves up to the 10-cent range. Long term, I'm going to hold a lot of it, just because this is one crypto that might be on the map now, and you've actually got it at the at the 4-cent range. I mean, can you imagine if it went up to like even $10? But what if it did what Bitcoin did, and it's moving up into the $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 range? You would be a millionaire by investing like $1,000. And so it's kind of a gamble. It's more of like you're playing the Powerball type gamble. There's no telling whether it's going to work out. But some of these cryptos are going to be viable, and some of these you hear about Ethereum or however you say it, or Ethereum, I can't really pronounce it right, but you hear about Bitcoin, you hear about Litecoin, but now you've heard about Dogecoin. And honestly, the way crypto works, it just has to have the backing of everybody, right? It doesn't have to actually be a thing. It doesn't have to actually have utility value. It just has to be what everyone says is good. And that's kind of what baseball cards are. That's kind of what gold is. That's kind of what everything is, right? It doesn't really have an intrinsic value. It doesn't have a utility value, although gold did at one point have an extreme utility value. It's not really used like that anymore. And so it's scarcity, and the fact that people say it's worth something is what makes it worth something, right? And the fact that people are willing to pay a certain amount of money for it is what makes it worth something. And as I've said before, in sports card videos or whatever, the value of something is always what somebody's willing to pay for it. And so this cryptocurrency is no different. And so, take a gamble on one. If you want to go into Bitcoin, you might end up, doing it that way. It might continue to go the path it's going. Or with Dogecoin, you might just kind of put a little bit of money in there, forget about it, and get lucky down the road. So I wanted to make a video here to kind of warn you from getting in on all these hype stocks. If you get in them, just know that you're gambling. Just know that you are playing a game. You're not really trading stocks the way, in an informed way that you can kind of chart data and understand what's going on and be right more than you're wrong. This is just a 50-50 gamble, if it's even 50-50. It might be 80-20. I have no clue. There's no way for me to know is what I'm trying to tell you. And there's no way for you to know either. But if you feel the hype train, you feel it coming, go and get yourself some Dogecoin. If you feel it like on an AMC stock, the thing with AMC is like that company's going to eventually rebound, right? Because movie theaters are going to eventually open up and all of that. But it hasn't happened yet. And this hype drove the price of the stock up. And so I think it's a bad time to buy AMC, but I think long term, AMC is a good buy, right? Like it's something that will come back and they will get investors to invest back into it. Movies are going to come back. People are going to go to the movies. And when they're allowed to, they might go to the movies a lot more than they did before, right? Because it's something that they missed. So AMC, not telling you to completely avoid it, but keep it on your radar for down the road. It's something to eyeball when movie theaters open back up. GameStop, I would completely ignore. Nokia, I would completely ignore at this point. Dogecoin, I would kind of look at, because it's something you can invest a little bit of money in and get a lot of, right? It's 4 cents right now. And so I think I have just a little bit of skin in that game. And hopefully it goes up to 10 cents. Hopefully it goes up to 20. In the comments, go ahead and comment what you think is going to happen with Dogecoin. Comment what stock you think is going to pop next. Try to hype something up. Tell me something I don't know. If you like this video, go ahead and like it or share it with a friend. Or if you like content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the page because I'm always talking about things that you can buy for one price and sell for another, whether that be stocks, whether that be crypto, which I'm not really into crypto a ton, but I do have a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Dogecoin. I'm always talking sports cards, just flipping, anything that you can buy at one level and sell at another. I'm trying to help you make money, I'm trying to tell you what makes me money, what's driven me to six-figure sales for the year, what's allowed me to live without working, without having a job, and continue to grow my business and continue to be an entrepreneur. So hopefully you enjoyed that. But in the meantime, keep on flipping.